take two. Let's see if this works. All right, got everything I'm supposed to have. All right, let me copy the link. I'm going to go post the link for today's activity on our website, jollyrogerukulele.com, and you should go there to pick up the sheet music. It is 12:03. We'll start the class in about 3 minutes. So if you're watching the recording, just fast forward up to that spot. I'm running. I was running. I was doing fine, and then the we had challenges here. So let's see if we can get this on here finally, so everybody can come in and join us. Shift, link, edit, enter, settings, options, update, update, update. All right, so now everybody can come get us. All right, and then the first person in will say, sounds good, Gary. That's their job. That's the job of that person. Let's see. Zoom coaching. All right. Well, I may have to disconnect from that group. Ellen, I'm going to move this over into Ellen. I'm going to start doing what he does. All right, let's see. Where else are we at? What are we working on today? We are working on, I have written down Tuesday. Today is Tuesday. Strumming in the key of A. Yay! This is one of my favorite things to do. Make sure you have this book printed out, or probably you can use this on screen one, but we'll see. Hey Donna, welcome in. People are showing up a little late today. My fault. Had some trouble getting the stream started correctly, so here we are. Yeah, let me see if I can continue to work on that. I don't know if it'll let me do that at the same time or not. Okay, there's that. And we'll start here in about two. We'll start here in a minute or two. Thanks, Donna. Get everybody settled in and hopefully going in the right directions. I just have to make sure that the link works properly, and then we will be ready to go. And I should be able to click right here, and then everything will be great. Yep. All right. So we are ready to go. Today is one of the fun parts about learning ukulele is that you get to do a little strumming once in a while. So mostly if you are working with other ukulele teachers, this is the only thing they teach you. And so I always feel excited when I get to teach it. I, of course, teach it backwards from what they do because what they do is crazy, but we're going to make that. This little booklet is on today's resources, jollyrogerukulele.com, and it is on, of course, underneath the blue bear for you guys. And it's under Tuesday, Strumming in the Key of A Major. That's the little book. And when you pull up the PDF on this, you can just print it out, but don't print it out double-sided if you print it out double-sided and you don't click short edge binding, it will print out crazy. So a lot of times it's just easier to print it out single-sided and not worry about it. But if you do print it out short edge binding, it'll fold up just like a nice little book, and it's cute as a bug's ear. And I'm super proud of this book because I think it really gives you some really great content that you can use right off the bat. And yeah, so that's my suggestion. I gotta get rid of that, and then I had a private to get rid of. Okay. All right, and so then I can take those two pieces of. Oh, I see what you can do. Okay, so let's go and get started on this. Hey Nancy, hey Evelyn. All right, so today, small group in today. Melissa's here listening to Nina Simone's Black is the Color, trying to learn it. Yeah, she does. Nina's version is quite a bit of drama. They're quite a bit different than our version. She definitely took liberties with a lot of it. It's a good version of that though, Melissa. So it's just quite a bit different than the one we're working on. Um, all right, John found it. Okay, good. So today we have 4 chords to learn. I'm going to teach you how to write music, and I'm also going to teach you how to play 34 songs. Okay. So first thing we're going to do, ukulele, lovely. Yesterday we talked about, hey, we're going to play with it against our body. We're going to keep this neck up here. We're going to keep our thumb out of the way. Those are the non-negotiables. Okay, so ukulele, neck up, thumb here. Everything else is going to work out great if you'll do those 2 things. Are you in tune? Is George Clooney eats apples? George Clooney eats apples. Lots of other versions of that. Those out there, goats can eat anything. Doesn't matter. As long as you're in tune. I always tell people you are not thinking things through clearly if you don't own one of these Snark HZ tuners. These things are amazing. Saves me all sorts of time. Very high quality. It takes forever to lose a battery on this one. This one's finally about ready to lose its battery. I'm going to set it over there so I can get a new battery into it. All right. So today, first chord, we're going to learn A chord. Okay. The reason I don't start with C is because then G follows along and it's much harder to learn than E7. So here's your A chord. Let's play that. Index, 3rd string, 1st fret, middle finger, top string, 2nd fret. Okay, that's your first chord. Okay, I'm going to sing. 1, 2, 3, 4. Are you sleeping? Are you sleeping, Brother John? Brother John. Morning bells are ringing. Morning bells are ringing. Ding, dang, dong. Ding, dang, dong. So what I was doing there, just holding the chord, singing along, happy as a clam, and I'm taking four fingers, 4 strings, and just sort of collapsing them in my knuckles and get that nice steady beat. Okay, so now I'm the drummer and the chord player and the melody maker. I'm a one-man band. Okay, let's talk about a different way to strum. This one's just down, okay, thumb down, right where the body and the neck come together. 1, 2, 3, 4. Frère Jacques, Frère Jacques, dormez-vous, dormez-vous. Sonnez les matines, sonnez les matines, ding, ding, dong, ding, ding, dong. Okay, just use your thumb. Beautiful way of strumming. You should do that sometimes. 3rd way of strumming, this is a fast strum. So we're going to take index finger. Make sure your fingernail is mostly pointed toward the ground. Down. Okay? Down. 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 Then when you get down, I want you to also come up with the pad of your finger. So down on your fingernails, up with your pad. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Feels much faster. 3 blind mice. 3 blind mice. See how they run. See how they run. They all ran after the farmer's wife. She cut off their tails with a carving knife. Have you ever seen such a sight in your life as 3 blind mice? You notice when I'm strumming, I'm leaving my palm open and just dropping this down. That helps us sort of counterbalance the weight, and it'll make you able to go very quickly. And the only thing when I'm teaching people, and you guys, when you're ready to teach somebody, just be aware. A lot of times people will have their fingernail facing up here to the neck, and it gets stuck in the strings. So that's not what we want. We want it to be facing down more to the ground, and it'll go much more smoothly for them. Okay, there's your A chord. There's the first two songs on your paper. Remember yesterday we did the Frere Jacques tab, which is part of your homework this week. And I wrote down the tabs, just the tab here, just the tab number, so you have it, so that you can practice it. Let's see if just based off of those numbers, if you remember how we played Frere Jacques on Monday. 1, 2, 3, 4. 0, 2, 4, 0, 0, 2, 4, 0, 4, 5, 7, 4, 5, 7. Slow here. 7, 9, 7, 5, 4. Open. 7, 9, 7, 5, 4. Open. First string, second string, first string, first string, second string, first string. So already we've taken a ton of information off this first page. We've reminded ourselves how to play Frere Jacques just with the tablature numbers. We now on this type of where we just write out the numbers. You can't tell which string it's on, so you really have to know. I did give you a little arrow at that next to last zero to tell you, hey, it's on the string up there. But we generally don't write tablature out like that. We like to have the 4 lines for the strings there. But I thought I'd put it on here just to remind you. You've learned your A chord. Next chord, let's learn a D chord. Okay, so you have A. To get to D chord, middle finger comes up, gets out of the way. Index finger, top string, second fret. Middle finger, third string, second fret. Ring finger, second string, second fret. Okay, so everybody gets crammed in here. A lot of times you may have to, noodle them around just a little bit. You got to make sure that you're not leaning up against that first string. That's the big string. That's the big key here. This string has to stay open. So you got to cram everybody in there. If you got big hands, it's a challenge. Okay. What I do tell people is I really want you to do your D chord this way, mostly because of the other things that are going to be happening in your chord life. But if you absolutely positively can't get them in that way, you'll go ahead and put your index finger here, middle finger on top, ring finger on the bottom. On the second string, and you will end up with the same situation. Okay, it's not ideal, but it's not terrible. So you've got that as your D chord. This is the one I want you to be able to do. It's just 3 in a row. Okay. On your book on page 2, you have Row, Row, Row Your Boat and Farmer in the Dell are both in the key of D. We're not going to do Farmer in the Dell because it's a little mind-numbing. But Row, Row, Row Your Boat is one of the great songs of all time. Okay. D chord, get it on there. We'll play it 3 times. First time, pluck everybody. Second time, thumb down. Third time, index. When we get to the third time around, at the end, we're going to use a tremolo. And that's just taking your index finger, but then seeing how fast you get it. Notice not very much going on at my elbow. Lots and lots of things going on at my wrist when I do a tremolo. When you're strumming, it's mostly in your wrist. And when you're plucking, it's mostly in your knuckles. Okay, so first time through, plucking. Second time through, thumbing. Fourth time through, indexing. Let's see, with your nail, the tremolo. Right at the moment, my nails are a little bit longer. I don't typically grow them long on purpose because I have a life and they keep breaking off and it's annoying. Most advanced players, that's their full-time job. That's what they do. They only play music. They'll go ahead and let their fingernails grow out, or they'll actually go to the nail salon and have artificial nails put on there, and then they'll file them in a way that works for them. I'd say if you're a normal human being and you're doing ukulele for a fun thing to do, a nice hobby, maybe you want to get really good as a musician, but you're not quite there yet. Just play with your fingers. You don't really need your fingernails. When I'm doing tremolo, if I have fingernails, my fingernails are for sure hitting that. If I don't have fingernails, not a big deal, right? I'm just the same exact stroke as I still want my fingernail to be facing toward the ground mostly, but I'm not really overly thinking about my fingernail. I'm mostly thinking about not having my fingernail pointing up to the neck because my fingers then get stuck in between the strings, and that's not going to help. So just having them facing toward the ground should make it a little easier. All right, row, 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 boat. D chord. 1, 2, 3. Here we go. First time plucking. 1, 2. Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream. Thumb strum. Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream. Then index. Row, row, row your boat right across the lake. Don't stand up and walk the boat, oh, that's a big myth. Tremolo, stay. Okay. I like the Eddie Van Halen ending on everything. You do a little tremolo, and then, right, and then just take all 4 fingers and just fingernail them over that. Okay, get yourself a little bit of noise coming out of your ukulele. Always fun, right? You want to just get it nice and loud once in a while, not too often, once in a while. If I was teaching kids, I would also then go through Farmer in the Dell. We would spend the whole time, Farmer in the Dell, the farmer in the Dell. Hi ho, the dairy-o, the farmer in the Dell. The farmer takes a wife, the farmer takes. So you're trying to talk newer players into doing all 3 of those different strum ideas. Because when you get to the advanced music, when we get to instrumental work, for sure this is going to be one of the main things you do, and this is the other main thing that you do. Okay. Occasionally, you're going to have a fast down strum in instrumental work or a fast up strum. Not often, but it does happen. And so you want to be clear. You want to know all of the 3 main techniques to do that. All 3 of those techniques have subtleties that we can talk about. But for the most part, those are the 3 big categories: plucking, thumbing, and indexing are your 3 main strumming patterns. You'll see a discussion on the internet all over the place about the correct strum pattern for this, that, or the other thing. There are no correct strum patterns. It's what you want the music to make. There are certain songs. Somewhere Over the Rainbow being one of those, where people want to do the strum exactly like somebody else has done it, and you can study those videos. I don't find that to be meaningful use of your time. Your strum pattern is your strum pattern, and you should figure that out. And if you're going to play with other people, you sit down and everybody agrees on what they think the strum pattern should be. But there's no right or wrong answer to that. There's better ways to do it and less good ways to do it. But there's no one specific strum pattern for any specific song that I know that I'm right on that. There are none. All right. So now, next chord we got to learn E7. This is one of my favorite songs to teach in all of the world. Index finger, we're going to do the E7. Okay, so your index finger is right here, middle finger is right here, and ring finger is right there. Okay, so index on the top string, first fret, middle finger on the 3rd string, 2nd fret, and ring finger on the bottom string, 2nd fret. Okay, that's E7. Okay, sounds a little wanky. Okay, and I want you to choose either to pluck or to strum. I don't think you want to do this on this one because it'll be. You could find your way of strumming. Try one, try different until you find the right way. And when we get to the bottom of this, I put 2 asterisks on there to tell you that tremolo is required. When we get to the ending of that, that's how we're going to end it. Okay. When you teach this to kids, you tell them when you get to the words doctor, you're going to yell doctor, doctor, and they always have fun doing that. Okay. You as a adult player, if you are an adult, will want to just keep a nice steady beat. when we're strumming, we're also the drummer. So don't strum along with the music. Just strum with a steady beat and let the music happen on top of that beat. Don't try to strum with the music, or you'll get off and it'll be a tragedy. Okay. I think I'll probably go with a pluck. 1, 2, 3. My brother bought a coconut. He bought it for a dime. My sister had another one and spent it on a lime. You put the lime in the coconut, shake it all up. You put the lime in the coconut, drink it all up. You put the lime in the coconut, and then you'll perk on up. Called the doctor, woke him up, and here is what I said. I said, doctor, ain't there nothing I can take? I said, doctor, to relieve this belly ache. I said, doctor, ain't there nothing I can take? You put the lime in the coconut, drink 'em both together. Put the lime in the coconut, then you'll feel much better. Put the lime in the coconut and call me in the morning. A little tremolo for a while. Okay, then heel and finish. Okay. When you go to your local ukulele strum along group, lots of songs in our local one. I don't know if they do every song still, but we used to do every song. Right, as just as a fun way to end the songs. It's always hilarious. It does not get old. You would think it would, but there you go. So now, once you have gotten through those two little pages, you have learned how to play A chord, you have learned how to play D chord, and you've learned how to play E7. What you find is that you're like, okay, I know how to do that, but now the problem is, how do I get from one to the other to the other? And that's when we go back to the front page. I have one other little chord to teach you. It's a modified A chord. You take your A chord, you're going to put your ring finger there, and now it's an F sharp minor. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to do 4 beats of each. Just have this sitting up here in front of you, and what we want to do is do 4 beats of A, 2, 3, 4. Then we're going to add our ring finger there to make the F sharp minor and do 4 beats of that. And then from here, I'm going to leave my ring finger where it is, but I'm going to move these 2 fingers around to get to the D chord. Now I'm going to leave my middle finger where it is. I'm going to slide this back here and drop that down to get an E7. You and I are going to play through that 4 pattern, A, F sharp minor, D, E7, and then back to A and play through it a few times, okay? Maybe 100. From the top, 1, 2, ready, play. A, 2, 3, 4, change. F sharp minor, 2, 3, get ready to change. D, 2, change to E7. Back to A. F sharp minor's coming up. Go. Go to D. Go to E7. Back to A. F sharp minor. D. E7. Now, if this feels fast to you, when you're working at home, slow it down. What I'm trying to do is be real steady with my beat, so that I'm really thinking of myself as a drummer here, so that if I decided to sing a song, I could. I don't know what this song is about, but I'm going to play it just like this. And it's going to sound real good. Every day, you can play it at whatever speed you want. Dum ba dum ba dum, da 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 bum ba dum, bum ba da bum ba dum. Hey Caleb, dum Body dum dum. I bet this song sounds like you've heard before. What is the name of the song we are playing? Sounds like this, then it goes to this, then it goes to this, and it sounds like something I've heard before. A, F sharp minor, D, E7. Go to your strum thumb. One more time around, then we'll stop. That's it. Okay. Hey, Valerie, welcome in. Melissa, Duke of Earl, and any number of the early 60s groups. Absolutely. Duke of Earl is the one that immediately comes to mind. Duke, 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 Duke of Earl, Duke, Duke, Duke of Earl, Duke, Duke, Duke of Earl, Duke, 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 bum, bum, bum. But all of those songs in the late 50s, early 60s, electric guitars were finally cheap and they were finally affordable, and teenage boys were buying them up by the dozens, and a whole industry was being born. This electric hard body electric guitar people with their tuba amps, and so people were. Young boys were buying that. Of course, they don't know how to play music, but they know how to make four chords, and so they would make those four chords, and then they would just write songs over those four chords. And so a lot of those early songs were written by not particularly competent musicians, but they were really, you know, for the first time singing out in a new way, and that of course led to rock and roll. Other stuff led to rock and roll as well, but that was one of the many things that turned out to be this very typical four chord progression, which is, goes the history of music. This shows up in Western music everywhere. Bach, Beethoven, Mozart, all the guys use these four chords. It's not anything new. It's just that it happened to be at a time when electric guitar was being popular, recordings were being made that were actually worth listening to, and everything was sounding pretty good, right? Let's see. See, I'm not the only one that hears Duke of Earl. It's really every song from the 50s is what I tell people, right? It's almost every song. Not every song, but a lot of them. And people are still using this chord progression to write songs. It really works. If you want to write, I'll write a song. Let's write a song about Caleb. Caleb walked into the room this afternoon, and he's looking mighty fine, and he's playing really well. Oh, Caleb. Right? You can just put any words over the top of that, and it sounds amazing. I'll cue. You've been here all along. All right, good. So those are your four chords that are in the book. Okay. Now let me give you a couple of pieces of thoughts of what you do with this. First of all, if you're a newer player, getting from one chord to the next to the next to the next is very challenging. And the more you work on it, the faster and easier it'll be down the road. So if I'm struggling with playing at Gary's speed, I'm going to sit there today. A 2 3 4 F sharp minor 2 3 4 D 2 3 4 E7 2 3 4. Now I'm only going to strum once, but I'm going to make sure to get my chord on by the time I'm supposed to. One of the harder parts as a newer player is you feel like I got to get all my strums in, and then you end up being late to the next chord, and you don't want to be that way. You want to. It's much better if you'll strum less and be on the chord when it's time to hit it. Okay, so if you have to go, I don't know what I'm going to do. Now I'm going to do it, and I don't know. So be on the chord your next chord, whatever it is, when it's time to strum it, the first beat of that. After that, you can abandon it and move on to the next chord. Ideally, obviously, you're putting in your full number of strums per chord, but it's easy to talk about, very hard to do when you're new. I start people with these four chords because they're much easier to learn than the C, A minor, F, and G. G ruins that series, which is what most ukulele teachers start with, which is fine. It's just that you end up having to deal with D way too early. If I teach you these four chords, they're actually much easier to play. They serve exactly the same purpose. And then when you get to G, it's not nearly as big of a deal because your hands are already used to making these fascinating shapes. Uh, I would say the next thing I would want you to do is to sort of wander through the book and find yourself some songs that you know that are that you want to give it a try. I'm going to ask you to go to page 10, which has London Bridges falling down on it. And you should note, if you print your book in color, you will have the red headlines are one chord songs, the green headlines are two chord songs, the blue headlines are three chord songs, and there's a couple of songs in here that are four chord songs that are in purple. Okay, so start with all the green headlines. Let's start with London Bridges. Two chords you're going to play on this song are A chord, dun, 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 and then you're going to go to E7. Just don't overthink it. Index finger up, middle finger down, add your ring finger on, dun, 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 and then to get back, lose your ring finger, middle finger up, index finger down. Okay, that's how we play. I changed the words on this one at the end. You say take the key and lock her up, and that seemed kind of negative. So I changed it to take the key and have some tea, which seems much more British in my mind. All right, London Bridges. 1, 2, 3, 4. London Bridge is falling down, falling down, falling down. London Bridge is falling down, my fair lady. Build it up with silver and gold, silver and gold, silver and gold. Build it up with silver and gold, my fair lady. Take the key and have some tea, have some tea. Have some tea. Take the key and have some tea, my fair lady. Okay. And again, big goal, big takeaway from that is, hey, can I get my chord on in time to be ready for the first beat of that chord? It tells you exactly where you're going to need to put them in, right? And if you can't do it that fast, you start dropping some of your strums. London Bridge is falling. Whoops. Let me do it right. London Bridge is falling down, falling down, falling down. London Bridge is falling down, my fair lady. So just one strum per chord if you have to. Obviously, you want over the term to get more and more strums in there, fancier stuff. I was adding in a little bit of arpeggio picking when we were playing that song, but getting from A to E7 to back to A, it's going to come up in your ukulele life. Let's get good at it. Okay, let's do one more two chord song. I usually like to do, what is the one I like to do? um, drawing a blank. Oh, the Soft Kitty over on page 14. I have the headline color wrong. I think I have it as a blue headline. It should be a green headline. Soft Kitty on page 14. Go grab that one. This one, if you ever watch the show Big Bang Theory, you will know this tune, and it's super fun. Not, but it's actually one you got to kind of be on your game to get it right. Okay, so Soft Kitty. Going to start with A. Going to go to E7. Go back to A. 1, 2. Soft kitty, warm kitty, little let's try the thumb strum. One, two, three, four. Soft kitty, warm kitty, little ball of fur. Happy kitty, sleepy kitty, purr, purr, purr. Okay, gives you a great chance to work on just simple strumming that. Soft kitty, warm kitty, just one strum per chord, and it sounds nice. You'll end up hitting it twice, probably on little ball of fur, happy kitty. Um, and so that's the A to E7. Let's go do one song that involves all three, and it's on page 12. Let's do On Top of Spaghetti. Okay. When you're first learning chords, it's a little bit hard to keep up, and that's why when you go to the strum along the first couple of times, it's a little demoralizing because you cannot keep up with all the chords that they're playing, and that's why the more you work on it, the better it is. Your hands eventually learn, hey, this is a C chord, this is a D chord, this is an A chord, this is a G chord, and it just starts to jump on there a little faster. But in the beginning, you have to train your hand to do all of this stuff, and it can be a little bit frustrating. um, but the rewards will be there. Those of you guys who do not like singing, it's okay. I do not like singing. I have sang. Would not sing at all unless I was a teacher. When I go to the strum-alongs, I am just busy doing my chords and plucking out as many different patterns and ideas as I possibly can think of, and I let everybody else do the singing. There's no reason for me to be adding into the cacophony. And so when I get together with other ukulele players and they want to play a strummer, that's what I do, right? And let them do the singing. If you should probably hum along. It helps when you're humming along to know where you are in the song, but you don't have to. Okay. All right. On Top of Spaghetti. Every time I teach this to kids, I tell them this is a song of hope, and then they don't know the joke. The joke is when Led Zeppelin used to introduce Stairway to Heaven, Robert Plant would go up to the microphone and just in a mess and say, "This is a song of hope." And Stairway to Heaven, of course, is anything but a song of hope. But so then I always say this is a song of hope, and it is. It turns out it's a very hopeful song that reaches 100% the wrong conclusion. Okay, so let's play. One, two. Oh, it's in three, so I'm gonna strum in two, and then we got to do the pickup. One, two. On top of spaghetti, all covered with cheese, I lost my poor meatball when somebody sneezed. It rolled off the table and onto the floor, and then my poor meatball rolled right out the door. It rolled down the gutter and under a bush, and now my poor meatball is nothing but mush. It's very sad. Don't worry, it'll get better. The rains came and soaked it as wet as can be, and early next summer it grew to a tree. What? The tree was all covered with beautiful moss. It grew lovely meatballs, all covered in sauce. If you eat spaghetti, all covered in cheese, hang on to your meatball and don't ever sneeze. Okay. Song of Hope, right? Reaches the wrong conclusion. Here's what happens in the story. He's eating spaghetti, somebody sneezes, meatball rolls out the door down the street and turns into a spaghetti tree. Now that's a good thing. So why would you not want more of that, right? So the conclusion is if you are eating spaghetti, hang on to your meatballs and don't ever sneeze. Well, that's not the right answer. You should absolutely sneeze when you are eating spaghetti because you get a spaghetti tree out of it. All right. You have 34 songs in that book. Go through, play them all. Work on getting your chords happening. You want to know A, you want to know D, you want to know E7. They're coming up in your ukulele life, especially if you decide that hanging around me and getting up to that higher level, the next level type playing, uh, those chords come up all of the time in advanced ukulele material. And so I want you to be able to handle that with nothing scary that shows up. You're like, yep, I can handle that. Evelyn says, good refresher, right? That's what we want to do. I would say this little booklet, if you have a group of friends and they're like, oh, I hear you taking ukulele lessons, we want to learn too, and they all buy ukuleles. One, for sure, teach them Frere Jacques. That is my mind. That gets them thinking about plucking out a melody on the ukulele. That's what we want to do to get people started correctly. But then you also have to teach them how to strum and sing, because that's how most ukulele players do it. When you go onto YouTube, there will be 500 videos with somebody scratching away on some chords and singing, and you're like, oh God. And there'll be one video of somebody actually playing it instrumentally. So what I do is relatively rare. This is the way most people play ukulele. And of course, over time, you'll learn all of your chords so that when you go to the strum along in your neighborhood, which hopefully there is one, and if there isn't one, guess who gets to start it? You. Um, get a few people together, lay out, get them started on a book like this, or some of the easier songs that are commonly done in ukulele communities. There's a list of about 50 that everybody does over until you want to die, but that's generally sort of the easier get to know the ukulele songs, and then over time you have more sophisticated singing and strumming. Ultimately, if you like playing in that manner where you're singing and strumming, you really should be taking singing lessons, not ukulele lessons, because the ukulele part is not particularly challenging, but the singing part is what you want to get good at. It's why I really minimize the amount of singing I do, because I'm terrible at it. But I can absolutely get the ukulele to do the singing for me if I know how to read tablature and I know how to play in the style of Frere Jacques. All right, that's what I know about strumming in the key of A. Hopefully, you'll take that book and just play through everything in there. And most of those songs, you guys will know. If you don't know, YouTube is your solution to getting to know some of those songs. And there's that. Tomorrow is Wednesday already. Can you believe that? Tomorrow we're going to study the key of C major scale and notes laid out on the fretboard. Some of you have prior music knowledge and you want to know where your A note is and your C note and your D sharp and all of that stuff. And I'll help you out figure that out tomorrow using two different PDFs. And you can print those out tonight and look them over a little bit if you want. Then on Thursday, we're going to take the same idea that we've learned now in the key of A, and then we're going to apply it to the key of C. And we have to meet the lovely and talented G chord when we do that. And you will have a mixed relationship with G chord, at least initially. And so this week, we get you started with doing a little bit of plucking. We get you started doing a little bit of strumming. And then starting next week, for the rest of your life, we don't spend that much time on strumming, and we spend a whole lot of time on plucking. And so you'll end up being a very fine player if you stick with me. And of course, if you don't, you already have the two pieces of information you need to have, right? How to play melody and how to play chords, and you can turn that into whatever you want it to be. So hope you're having a wonderful day. Let's keep it going. Remember, oh, I'm sorry. We need to talk very quickly about Alouette. I'm sorry, I almost blew it. grab your copy of Alouette out. Those of you who've been around a while, the big discussion here is you only have two chords. You've got your F chord